Gunline, gunline, gunline. We got a fire mission coming down, y'all. I'm your host Lopez, and you're watching the On the Gunline podcast, where we chop it up and shoot the shit like we would out in the field. So go on ahead and pop a squat, because it's about to get hot right now. You are on the gun line now. So if this is your first time around here or barely coming on through and wondering why it's called On the Gun Line, give you a quick summarization. When I was in the Army, I was a field artillery cannon crew member. I shot the cannons. And where the cannons were located is called the gun line. And anytime we stopped shooting, when there was like, a lull in the fucking sending rounds down range, everybody would just congregate on the gun line. And you have like different sections, and everybody has their nets and where they hang out. And one section will be talking about how their wife is getting ran through by Jody, and then another section is going to be talking about how their private is marrying some chick named Diamond from the frickin' strip joint down the road out Rancier. And there was just conversations happening on every gun line section. And you would talk about politics, race, religion, everything and anything you could think of, man. Why? Because we were bored as fuck. And out of that boredom, we formed brotherhoods, all right, and bonds. And one of those bonds that I made is with my boy right here, Chooks, who I've known since 2005 when I first got to 277 Field Artillery out in Fort Hood, Texas. And with that said, I've learned a lot from him, a lot, specifically on the political side. But we're gonna dabble into that here shortly. If you want to know about his background and all that stuff, go dip into the archives. It's one of the episodes from a couple years back, and you can find out more about him. Today, we're just gonna chop it up and shoot the shit like we did out in the field. What's going on, Chooks? How you doing, bud?
What up, brother? Good to see you, hear you, talk to you. It's been too
For
long.
real, man. It has been too long, brother. Before we get started, though, before we do get started, I do want to plug something because I do know that you are an adventurer now. I've always known you as an entrepreneurial type of person. When you had your drone videos that you would do, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying? You
sir.
did that the intro to the podcast, which I'll talk about that later. But anywho, you have a new venture that you're on now. If you wouldn't mind telling us what it's about, brother.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so it's called Mamacita and the Hamsters. You can see the right below my name right here on the screen. It's Mamacita and the Hamsters. You find us at Facebook, Instagram under the same name, or just Mamacita and the Hamsters.shop is our website. And it's just natural skincare products made without garbage, without toxins, without all the nastiness. If you ever take a look at the labels and most of the products that you're using that you're putting on your skin, you'll see that most of it's poison, most of it's toxic in some kind of way. And I kind of was speaking to this before as to how it came about was just because my daughter, she has trisomy 21. She's 4 years old. She's about to be 4 years old next week. She has trisomy 21, which is Down syndrome. And when she was born, the first 97 days of her life, we spent in the NICU. And then after we got out, she's been on oxygen. And the next year, she had right-sided heart failure. So we were back in the hospital for a long time, and we've just spent a whole lot of time in the hospital. And throughout that time, we just slowly, more and more, started to see how the entire medical industry is really just a business. Like they don't
Mhm.
care about you as an individual. It's just getting you in and out. They don't try and heal you. They just try and prescribe you some kind of medication to mask whatever's going on and get you out the door because they want you to come back. They're not trying to treat anything. They want you to come back because if they treat you, then they're out of a customer. But the more we were there in the hospital, the more we saw that, and it just really started to kind of bug us. But anyway, so like I said, she was on oxygen. She had the little granule, whatever you call them. I forget the little name right now, but she had the
Mhm.
oxygen thing on her nose, and we had to tape it to her face and her ears every day.
Mm.
So she would just develop blisters and cuts because obviously she's a little baby, and babies don't
Right.
like having things on their faces. So she's constantly just ripping it off and tearing it and tugging at it. So her face would just constantly rip and tear, and she would get cuts.
Mm.
And we tried all the usual stuff, Neosporin and all the stuff that doctors would give us to heal it, but none of it worked. So my wife one day was, I think it was Instagram. She was scrolling Instagram and saw ad for a tallow balm from a random company. And so we just thought we'd try it. She ordered it and we tried it. And by the next day, it was already starting to heal up. Within 2 days, it
Wow.
was pretty much gone. Her skin was almost perfect. And we were sold. Like that was it. Like we're tallow believers. And but the problem with tallow is that people charge a lot for it. People charge way too much because there's a process to making it.
Hmm.
So that's what we decided we were going to try and make our own. So we kind of dove into it and figured out how to do it. And the reality was that it wasn't very hard. It was just time consuming. And in case you don't
Okay.
know what tallow is just suet, which is just fat from any kind of animal. Mostly, most people use beef tallow, but you can use, bear. We've tried bear tallow, deer tallow, but beef tallow is what's the mainly what's used. And so we take that tallow we just make salves out of it, make butters out of it, make soaps out of it, make lotions out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and it just worked out a lot better. And we started doing that for ourselves. And then eventually we started doing it for our family and then friends. And then after that, we were like, you know what? We got the process down. We're this involved. Let's see if we can sell some of this stuff. And then we started selling it a little bit and people were buying it. So
Nice.
then we were like, you know what, let's get it, let's build a website and let's start some social media and actually do it and do it for real. And it worked, man. It's working.
That's awesome.
It's going good. Things are, they're growing a lot faster than we actually thought they would. And it's been great. And me and my wife get to work together. We get to create things together and it's been awesome, man. But
That's
yeah,
great.
definitely Mamacita and the Hamster dot shop. We sell, like I said, the majority of our stuff is all natural, tallow based, but we use like butters, mango, cocoa, shea, all that fun stuff. All the nourishing stuff, and essential oils. Occasionally some fragrances, but we try and stay away from those too. So generally
Right.
just essential oils and pure goods, man, and try and make the best products we can to get people safe and clean
That's
products
what's
to
up.
use.
That's good shit, man. I mean, honestly, and I mean that's great. 'Cause, I mean, I do want to speak. That was one of the topics I want to speak with was you know, our health and Maha, make America healthy again.
Yes,
So this
sir.
kind of leads into that too. There was like this whole thing going on right now with Tylenol and autism. You know what I mean? How they're
Yes,
finding a
sir.
link to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, and I mean, I don't think that they're saying that it is attributing or it is like it's been proven that if you took Tylenol while you were pregnant, that that they're gonna have autism or some kind of disability. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's if it's a warning, why not just take the warning? But there's others out there. It blows my mind, Chooks, that I saw people on TikTok just because they want to be defiant and think that RFK is crazy and because they hate Trump, they they're starting to down Tylenols while they're
Yes,
pregnant. And
sir.
like, are you serious? Do you not care? But before we go there, what one thing I was mentioning earlier was in the military sphere in our circle, I've noticed that in our populace there seems to be a lot more children that are born with some kind of a developmental or disability. So for example, my oldest kid was diagnosed autistic, high functioning autistic, but autistic nonetheless. And then
Right.
my youngest had a development issue with his speech. You know what I mean? He's 10 years old now and he speaks, a lot clearer than he did before, but he was nonverbal till about a good 4 or 5 years old. Like he was talking gibberish. And, I know that I have a couple of other buddies that are also military, that their kids are on the spectrum. Now it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, I get that there's that we're like a small slice of society, but I think that the percentages of how many service members have kids with disabilities is higher than the civilian sector. Have you noticed anything like that at all?
I, it's funny. I've never actually paid attention to it, but yeah, thinking. Well, first I will say, first and foremost, my children, all of them, they're all 100% vaccine free, and none of them will ever get a vaccine. They'll never get any of
Okay.
that garbage. But going back to the military, I don't know. I was in for 10 years, and I can't remember and even begin to count the number of vaccines or shots that we had to take. And we never
Hmm.
questioned it. Like, right, we were just like, hey, you're going on a deployment. We're going to give you 20 different shots. And you had to just,
Hmm.
the little get in the line and go and get your shot. And nobody questioned anything. They
Yeah.
shot you up with whatever you want. I mean, I don't know if you can remember back to the basic training when you had
Yeah.
to go through basic training,
Yep.
and the amount of shots that we got in basic training
It
was
was just like a cattle
insane.
line, like you
Yeah,
were herded
they
in,
herded you
and
through. Absolutely.
shot, shot, shot. It was like when you went, like we were saying, pre-deployment. You know, you would go to SRP, and then you had your little record that you would walk with, and shot,
Yeah.
shot, 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 and then booster, 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 booster. And like you said,
Uh,
like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like I mean, we
yeah,
had to
among
get the flu shot. You know, since I've gotten out, I have not had one flu shot in
yes.
10 years since I've been out. And guess what? I haven't had the flu.
It's funny
Go
how it works,
figure.
man. Yeah, I haven't had it either, man. Haven't taken a flu shot. Haven't taken
So
anything. I don't take any kind of medicines anymore. I'm 100% off. I will live with a headache. I will live with a
right.
body ache. I will live with everything, just because I will not. I refuse to put any of that stuff in my body anymore.
And
Now,
to me,
it's
what
like you said. Go ahead.
yeah. No, oh, I was saying, what I was thinking was like, okay, I mean, I don't know if there is a link. I haven't studied it or anything like that, but I mean, if somebody tells me there's a possibility that this is causing it or has been linked to it, I would think, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pump the brakes on this, just as a cautionary thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, why do you think we're so defiant right now? Is it because it came from the current administration, or if it would have came from a different administration, do you think they were like, "Oh man, this is a great discovery. Let's pump the brakes on it."
Absolutely. Well, it's like you said, this whole like with this whole Tylenol thing, and the running joke is that if Trump cured cancer, then lefties would be saying, "I want fucking cancer." Like they would be running out to see how they can get cancer. Like
Yeah.
it's a crazy joke, and the whole Tylenol thing. I don't know. Like you said, people are now just downing it. Pregnant women are just taking it just to give. Apparently, that's a L for Trump. There to be defiant, but I don't know if you heard
Hmm.
the one lady actually. She was pregnant lady, and she was taking the Tylenol and lost her baby because of the Tylenol. Yeah, so I was like, wow,
Wow.
that's something brutal to do to yourself, and obviously the baby who didn't make it, just to try and say I got to like f you Trump,
Yeah, and you know what's fun?
It's a wild mental phenomena that's happening that
It's
you can watch play out.
crazy. It is
Yeah.
a mental. It is something mental. Because, dude, I'm gonna say this, and I mean, I'm jumping all over the place with this now because I want to go to a place where I don't know where sympathy died, or because I'm over here. I feel bad for that woman that lost her child. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's horrible. And I mean, but I'm not gonna say, well, she got what she deserved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
Unlike
absolutely
other
not.
people who freaking go to Charlie Kirk a couple of weeks ago, they were cheering on how he was assassinated. You know what I mean? To me,
Yeah,
that was horrible, bro.
horrible,
Fucking horrible. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I went to go check out the video because I was
brutal,
nosy. And of
brutal.
course, yeah. And dude, when I saw that, I knew he wasn't coming back from that one, bro. I mean, it was
Yeah,
just gone. But the what I'm wondering, bro, is where when did we get desensitized as humans?
for
When did
real.
we lose? How did that happen? I mean,
It's funny. It's funny you should say that because actually, I was just talking with our boy Hunt. I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. We were having a conversation, and I was telling him like because we've made kind of a pact because you saw for a while there, me and him would get into very heated debates and heated
yes.
conversations, and it got a lot of them got ugly because we had very differing viewpoints. But we've kind of come back to the middle a little bit, found some middle ground that we can still talk now. But I was telling him, I was like, dude, where our country's at right now is crazy. And I think I almost used that like verbatim was that empathy and sympathy are dead. Nobody will everybody refuses to see anybody else's viewpoint.
Hmm.
They whatever they're spoon fed by the media, by TikTok, wherever they're getting their news, that becomes like their mantra. That becomes
Hmm.
their version of religion, I guess. I don't even know, but and when I say they, I'm not talking about the left also. I'm talking about the right. Like we're just as guilty
Yeah.
of that as all of it. Like we refuse to see their side. And most of the people on the right, they say they're coming from like a religious standpoint because a lot of conservatives are, Christians
Mm-hmm.
and religiously based, but still refuse to see the other side. But
There's no middle ground,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, their middle ground is dead. And I was telling that to Hunt. I was like, where do we go from here? If we can't even shut down Tylenol for pregnant women because there's a possibility of a link to
Mm-hmm.
autism without people getting up in arms. And I don't know if you saw it, but in the
Mm.
midst of all the pregnant women downing Tylenol themselves tweeted out, please, if you are pregnant, please do not down Tylenol the way they actually came out with a statement because so many
Oh,
people are doing
wow.
it. So Tylenol themselves told people to stop doing this. It is not good for you. You need to stop immediately. And
How
people were getting themselves messed up. And,
how did
and
we
so
become that society though? I mean, it's like, fuck, bro. The hate is so
it's
it's
real,
so
man.
freaking it's just beyond, man. I mean,
Yeah,
dude, I can have a conversation with somebody I disagree with and not insult them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'll say, what they think is retarded, but I'm not gonna call them retarded. You know what I'm saying? So I'll
Exactly.
give you an
Yes.
example. Back to our boy Hunt, you know what I'm saying? That he had posted something about Project 2025 veterans, and they're going to take away your disability if you're working or whatnot. And to me, that's just lies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Until I see it
Absolutely.
pass through Congress, pass through the Senate, I mean, it's a lie. It's been to me. But anyway, so I put on his Facebook like, oh, there you go, still spewing these lies. And some joker that I went to basic training with back in 2004 jumps on there. I'm talking about you, Stevens, if you're watching this. He says, I know you. You're borderline retarded. And I mean, at that moment, you lost me. You have lost me because first of
Yeah,
all, I haven't talked to you in fucking 2 decades. And then, we never got along at that level where we would clown each other like that. Now, if it was you telling me, like, man, you borderline retarded, then I would be like, oh, whatever, motherfucker, you retarded too. You know what I'm saying? But no, this fool was calling me. And then he says, and you know me, or you've met me. I'm nowhere near that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you were the goofiest motherfucker I knew in basic training. When we were
absolutely.
at Fort Hood, you were a retard. So I mean, you just because you grew a beard, you think you grew balls all of a sudden, you grew brains,
Right.
and
Yeah,
it's a trip because it's a trend that I see a lot of a lot of cats that they think because they grew a beard out and to make them look badass that they're still not the bitch that they were before the beard. You know what I mean?
yes,
It's easy to talk crap behind a
absolutely.
keyboard, but I guarantee you wouldn't talk to me like that face to face. But look, back to the Christian thing, I am trying to walk with Christ. I'm trying to walk with God. So, but that don't mean that if you hit me, I'm gonna turn the other cheek. I will turn the other cheek while I'm
Hey,
fucking sweating, ready to swing at your ass. Let's get
hey,
that
Jesus
out of the
said you got to
way.
flip tables sometimes, man. Hey, it
Exactly.
is what
Let's
it
not
is.
forget the
Yep.
cleansing, baby. But anywho, it just trips me out. But that's just my example of people who aren't able to have a conversation. Look, did I vote for Trump? I sure did. Do I stand on 10 toes on him? I sure do. Why? Because the options weren't great. Not the first time, not the second time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I even put on there, bro. I even told him, like, look, dude, you think I'm a forever Trumper? Like I love Trump, like I'm a MAGA guy. I do want to make America great again. I do. What's wrong with that? And then secondly, I'm not a Republican. I'm in the middle. I would have supported Tulsi in 2020 to go against Trump. You know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
even told him, like, I supported Tulsi when she was a Democrat. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And he's like, oh,
Absolutely.
well, look at who you're talking about. The person that left and was a Trojan horse for the Russians. I'm like, oh my God. Like, he is the male version of Rachel Maddow. That's what he seems like to me. And it's like, come on, bro, have a conversation with me, meet me in the middle. But on
Yeah,
both sides, it's equal, bro. It's equally retarded on both sides.
it
Because
is.
if somebody wants to have a conversation and meet in the middle, if you meet in the middle, all of a sudden you seem like you're losing versus actually
Right.
meeting and compromising as you're supposed to. And I
Right.
think that's what's wrong with America, you know. And it's like the whole freedom of speech thing. You know, what do you think about what happened with Jimmy Kimmel with the whole freedom of speech thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I was just talking online with El
Yeah,
Hunt about this. It's not that he's not. Nobody lost their freedom of speech. Nobody. That was a business decision that Disney made, and I think the parent company of NBC. I forget the name of them, but all the people. It wasn't like it was just across the board. All the different companies that host his show on their cable networks took it upon themselves to take him off air until
right,
he decided to apologize, which he never did. His half-ass
right.
apology, but it's not a freedom of speech. I think what I even commented on somebody's post is that's not a First Amendment issue. That's a fuck around and find
Hmm.
out issue.
You
And
know,
and lefties had no problems. We can talk about let's talk about Trump. Trump got kicked off fucking
Twitter.
Twitter. He got kicked off the biggest political platform in the world for years, in the midst of his presidential run. Uh,
Hmm.
so you want to talk about losing freedom of speech? They had no problems when conservative after conservative, all the biggest names in the conservative world got kicked off social media, which is basically the public square these days. So
Exactly.
to say that all of a sudden Jimmy Kimmel lost his freedom of speech, no, it's garbage, dude. It's just the table got turned. You know what I mean? The shoe's on the other
Exactly.
foot now,
And
and
it's
they're
gonna
mad about
happen
it.
again. It's
It
gonna happen
is.
again in the next election. What pisses me off, bro, is Trump didn't help the fucking situation when he was on the bird, talking about, hey, well, people need licenses, and everybody's against me. And so, I mean, he didn't help the cause there with, by politicizing it. And the
Yeah.
FCC guy, they were retarded going on there saying shit like that because now you're giving the left the ammunition they need to say that you are infringing on their freedom of speech. To me, when I read the Constitution and I think about the Constitution, it says freedom of speech from the government pretty much criminalizing whatever you say. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? To me, that's
Right.
what that means. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be any consequences by your peers or,
Exactly.
by society. It means that the
Yep.
government's not going to throw you in jail. That's what that
Yeah.
means to me. Same thing with separation of church and state. It means that we're not going to have a theocracy. It means that we're not going to make any government moves based on religion. We're not going to be Iran. We're not going to be Iraq. We're a democracy, a republic, a democratic republic, or whatever the fuck y'all want to call it. That's what that means to me. It doesn't mean that, we shouldn't have the 10 commandments out there. You know, I mean, oh my God, you have the 10 commandments, 10 basic rules to live by.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's rough, bro. How dare you?
Man,
And
it's weird.
people say, "Where's God at? Where's God? Why is God letting all this happen?" Well, y'all kicked them out of the country a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm
was just
saying?
saying that. I was just saying that yesterday. I was talking with somebody else, and I said I don't necessarily agree um, with having the Ten Commandments in all the classrooms, but
Right.
I do believe that there needs to be some kind of guiding principles for everybody. Because if you look, I believe it was California that was the first ones who got rid of religion in schools
Hmm.
back in the 80s or whenever it was. I don't even remember when it all went down, but if you look at how our society has gone downhill ever since they kicked religion
Hmm.
out of school, it's pretty much religion itself has declined.
Right.
And here we are in this crazy society where nobody can talk to each other and nobody will. I don't know if you saw that lady that got stabbed in the neck on the bus the other day,
Yes,
the
the one on
Ukrainian
the
refugee. And everybody, yeah, and the guy, no words exchanged. He was just sitting behind her, just got up and stabbed in the neck. And obviously, that was some mentally ill guy. But then, if you look
right.
around, everybody on the bus behind, after the guy got off the bus, and the lady's like in shock and then bleeding out on the floor, nobody got up and like checked on her. Nobody got up and did anything. Everybody just got off and went about their business. Society is fucked, bro. Like,
It
it's
is,
weird.
bro. I mean, well, look at what happened to the last person that tried to help anyone while they were on a mass transit system. They got
Yeah,
sent, they got sent to jail for murder or something like that. It's like, come on, bro. I mean,
yeah,
our society has it all begins in the home, I think.
yep,
Compassion. Don't look when Charlie Kirk got shot. I wasn't asking people to go mourn him. I was just asking people. to not politicize it or not cheer it. You know what I'm saying? You don't know
At the
him.
very
You
least,
should,
yeah, just be quiet and let everybody else who likes him mourn him. Just let them
yeah.
mourn in peace. Give them 24 hours before you start in on your
Let the
crap.
blood fucking dry, you know?
It is
And I
wild though.
mean, it is. And then people go out and put snippets of debates that he was in to, push their agenda. And it's like, well, did you watch that whole debate? Did you watch why he was talking about what he was talking about? What was said before that led to that comment and what was said afterwards? No,
Yeah,
they just pulled out this portion to back up their phrases. It's just it bothers me, Chooks, that we've become a country that is so violent now. I mean, the violence it's ridiculous. Just today there was another incident at a Mormon church.
yeah,
You
I
know,
saw that. I saw that.
I
Yeah,
was and I have absolutely no idea, but I'm not gonna go out there and say like, oh, it was a left leaning guy, it was a right leaning guy, it was a Muslim. Nobody knows the facts about anything, but they're quick to already start spewing stuff. That's why I haven't even watched the news yet about it. And
yeah,
but where's where is this violence brewing from? You know, those of us that have seen violence don't want to see violence. We
absolutely.
lived it.
Yeah,
And what is it? I don't want to say it's because we took out, you know, uh religion from schools or anything like that. I mean, maybe because we took it out from our homes.
I think
Maybe
that's a
because
big part of it also. Yeah, absolutely.
you,
And I think that
and
kind
for
of one led to the other, which led to all this. And I honestly, I believe there's just a huge level of unhealthy, mentally unhealthy people in the country right now. And so you
yes.
get this huge, going back to like the autism and all the different diseases, you can see the rise in all of those over the past 10, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's increased like exponentially. It's rowdy. And so has violent crime because we don't have mental institutions anymore, and it's like it's we tend to just now let people be crazy on the streets because we don't want to hurt their feelings and because they have rights, because everybody
Yep.
has the right to freedom, which obviously I love freedom and I love the rights that we have here, but we let crazies on the street, and we don't want to send crazies to jail for some odd reason. So we give them a slap on the wrist, let them back out on the street. Like that guy that stabbed the girl in the neck on the bus had been I think he had just been released. He had been in and out of prison and mental institutions. Like the guy was full on crazy, and he was out on the street. And it's just wild that we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Like that's what's the biggest thing that we have now. I'm surprised they haven't tried to add an amendment. They said you're not allowed to hurt people's fucking feelings anymore. Like
Dude.
you're not.
Well, I mean, think about it. Not hurting these people's feelings is leading to those people hurting other people real feelings. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's I mean, there was a reason that back when we were kids there was a short bus. There was a reason that they were, let in earlier and let out earlier than us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
mean, let's keep it 100 on this, man.
For
Um
real.
yeah, there was a problem with the institutions where they would hold the people that were mentally unstable. There was definitely, we can go back to when they would put those electric shocks on their heads and stuff like that. They did horrible, horrible treatment to those people.
Right.
100% understand that.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I can see a reasoning why they shied away from it. But can we get to a point where it can be maybe monitored? And I mean, we got nanny cams at preschools. I'm sure we can do the same thing with mental institutions.
Right.
And like you were saying earlier, bro, with our health system here in the states, it's it's a whole business. And Tulsi Gabbard said this during her primaries back in 2020. We have a health system that's not worried about. It's not health care. It's health maintenance. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's
Hmm.
no money in a cure. There's no
Exactly.
money in a cure. There's money in the treatment. Are there probably cures for most problems out there? I'm pretty positive there is. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you want. But if they were to cure cancer, guess what? A lot of motherfucking hospitals are gonna go broke because
For
they're not
real.
gonna get grants anymore. They're not gonna get, things to study. But I mean, it's unfortunate that that's where we're at in this society. That once you put the government into any type of business, it's gonna just first of all skyrocket the cost of everything because the government's gonna guarantee funds. Just look at colleges. College, just
Exactly.
go look at college. How much does it cost to get an education now? A higher learning. You
Even
got to
like
get a
a
fucking
state college is out of control. State universities, like even the local community college, are still expensive. It's
and I
rowdy.
mean you're gonna get the same education. I mean, it's a piece of cardboard that you're probably not even gonna use in your local job that you end up going to work in. You know what I mean?
Mm, exactly.
And that's one thing that I loved about CK was like, he said college is a scam, and I believe it 100%. Why do I got to take all these prerequisite classes when I just want to be a history teacher? You know what
Right.
I mean? I want to be a history teacher. Teach me history. Let me learn about history. I don't need to know fucking pre-algebra. I don't need to know calculus. Why do I need to? I need to know how to add, subtract, divide, and fucking
That's it.
subtract. That's all I needed, But no, they want you to make sure, man. Anyways, I can go on forever with that.
Yeah,
But
that's why I ended up not even finishing my business degree, man. I got into year three of getting my bachelor's in business, and they wanted me to take advanced calculus, and I'm like, what the? I don't need advanced calculus. I'm just trying to start a little business, dude.
right,
We can hire an accountant.
an
I know how to
accountant.
I know how to do a spreadsheet. I know how to balance a checkbook. I know how to make sure that we have inventory. I know how to add and subtract inventory.
You know
What the
how did
fuck do I
people
need advanced calculus for?
how did people do business back before needing a degree? You know what I'm
Right?
saying? How did people in the Middle Ages have businesses?
Right? It's
It's not
crazy.
like you had to go to Oxford in order to have a business. It boggles the mind, bro. It boggles the
It
mind.
does.
But I mean, I remember when we were growing up, man. They would say that they were playing video games for the violence. I'll say this: I grew up in a violent era, in a violent neighborhood, in a violent city, a
Yes.
violent part of the city. But the violence that was caused to those that were equally looking to do violence to me. In other words, I wasn't out randomly picking somebody to cause violence against. It was somebody that I knew was in the same subculture that I was
Exactly.
in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But but now it's become a society of a free for all. And if you say, oh, one demographic is doing it more than another, then all of a sudden you're racist.
You're racist.
Um, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to point out a demographic, but I'm just going to go back and say this: it happens in the big cities. The big cities are predominantly going to be minorities like ourselves, and they're going
Yep.
to be the ones that are doing the shit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, why are they doing it? Is my question. I remember when they had that knockout game. Boy,
Wild. Wild.
I wish. I mean, I was that guy. I'm gonna make a shirt that says, "I wish ma would." You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And
Yeah.
because honestly, they go and they select their targets. Pick really that 68-year-old woman. That's the person you want to go and do that with. You
Right.
know
You
what I
can't do
mean?
it somebody that's like equal stature at least, so they have a fighting chance.
Exactly.
You pick out
Yeah.
somebody weak, like
Exactly, bro.
yeah,
And if you want to be so violent, join the military, bro.
yeah. You get licensed to go do that stuff, man. You get to.
Right? They trust me. There's gonna, but now not anymore. I mean, now, well, I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
some
back when
some
we first joined, maybe, but now it's kind of dead.
it's a whole different thing, man. So back to the freedom of speech thing. I want to circle back to this real quick with the whole thing that happened with Kimmel, right? So I don't even think that Kimmel said anything that was like based to be him getting canceled because he didn't say nothing about Charlie Kirk. I mean, he said something about the killer, and then he clowned on Trump for the way he handled his mourning. All right,
Right.
now like you were saying earlier, to me, I think that was more of a business decision. And this one was like the straw that broke the camel's back. That they were
Yeah.
like, all right, this is it right here. But it didn't help when those two morons came out on TV and said they're dumb shit. Look, as much as I support Trump, I still think he's an idiot. You know what I'm saying? He does things, and you got to say, no matter all y'all haters out there, one thing Trump has done is kept his fucking word about everything that he's doing. He told you, I'm
Almost.
gonna do this, and he did it. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah.
are the ways that the tactics are being done the best? Not at all. Not at all. And it's funny because my mom was like, you better start walking around with your passport or you're with your papers. And I told my mom, no, I'm not. Because trust me, the moment I hope ICE comes to grab my ass like that, I'm wishing they did that. Hey, please, ICE, come and detain me, beat the shit out of me. Because you will have a large ass lawsuit coming to you, baby. I need some
Uh,
acreage. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I need some
exactly.
acreage. Shit.
Yeah,
Um,
if you're a legal American citizen, you shouldn't have a problem. And if you do, if for whatever reason you're a Mexican guy like we are,
mhm.
and you do get harassed, well, guess what? We have that's why we have courtrooms, and that's why we have procedure and laws.
Yep.
And you'll get yours. You'll they may just inconvenience you for a little while, but
Mhm.
as long as you don't act dumb and fight back, everything's gonna be all right. But that's where people run into problems, is that the
I think
entitlement that we see these days is rowdy.
I think that and this is just my personal view on the whole thing with ICE. My thing about it is that Trump did say he was going to start deporting folks, but he was going to start with the criminals and stuff like that. And we could get into semantics of like, well, they broke the law when they came in, got it. But let's be real. The way he had phrased it was going to be like, we're going to go after those hardcore fools that are out there destroying the cities that that we know are being a pariah. And when you start fucking with families that have been here for X amount of time, I think you're from the Central Valley, right? From up north,
Northern
or
California, yeah,
yeah,
NorCal,
so I'm sure that you saw probably families that had been there generations that they're coming back and forth, you know,
yeah,
or that were there illegally. Their family never got legal, and I mean, they weren't the ones to be fucked with. They were supposed to be going after the criminality, the criminals. So when he
yeah,
did that, when I started doing that, they started fucking up. And as far as like I think that the ICE agents did fuck up when they got that one Haji chick out there where they like surrounded her
yeah,
and took her. They fucked up with that one because I'm telling you, you come up to me with face masks and you don't identify yourself, and I have something that I might protect myself with. I'm
take
protecting
it.
myself, homie. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I can see both issues on that. How do you feel about, and this is just, I just my question to you, when it comes down to freedom of speech, for those that are over here, like on those student visas, for example, and they're out here studying, does the Constitution protect them from the freedom of speech?
I think it does to a certain extent, but like, I don't know. I forget who it was on Fox the other night was saying, you know what? It's one thing you come even if you somehow get in the country illegally. The problem
Hmm.
we have right now is that people coming here illegally and then flying the home flag of where they're from and disrespecting and you're gonna come here illegally and then you're gonna burn the American flag and you're gonna riot and you're gonna cause all these problems and be a drain on the system, both legally and not even to mention just the aid that we give them. They come here, they get food stamp cards, they get phones, they get everything, all on the American dime, and then they're going to disrespect America and they're going to talk about how bad America is after they just got a free ride. They just got here and
Hmm.
they got the entire world handed to them, so they got a place to live and they got food. But then they're going to talk about how bad America is, and they're going to go and burn the American flag and disrespect
Right.
America. Like, no, I don't believe anybody who does that. If you're going to come here, then you should be come here because you want to be here, because you know how great it is here, and you respect the rules, respect the law, respect our flag. And if you can't, then just shut up. You don't have to love it. You don't have to love our flag. But if you're going to come here because you want a better life, well, fucking
Hmm.
then just enjoy that and be quiet and leave us who are proud of the flag, leave us alone. And I don't know. It's a weird situation to like. We're gonna go break into another country and then fly the American flag. They'll kill you.
Right.
What
Right.
other country in the world can you go to and jump over a fence, break into their country illegally, and then grab one of their flags and burn it while I'm flying the American flag? Nowhere on earth, no
Right.
other country will shoot you. And that at the minimum you're going to prison.
Right.
Just if you jump a fence, get into any other country in the world illegally, you're going to prison. But here,
Yeah.
you get a free ride. You get your dreams. You get the dream come true, and you're still going to come here and talk crap.
Yeah.
Uh, It's a
let me
wild.
go to
It's a wild,
TJ, bro. Let me go to TJ just across San Isidro. Let me go burn the Mexican flag right over there, and stomp it out while I'm waving the American flag. What do you
bro.
think's
Your
gonna
family
happen
ain't
to me?
seen you. They ain't gonna see you. Your family ain't gonna see you again, ever again. You're done.
Ever?
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
You
But
know.
then they come here and they burn our flag and wave there and wave the Mexican flag. I'm a proud Mexican too. Uh,
Mhm.
but I'm not gonna burn the American flag, and I'm not gonna, it's rowdy. It's crazy
You
what
know.
people think that they can get away with because of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And
I
that's what's
mean,
protecting them. That's the only thing that's protecting them. They want to shit on the Constitution, but the Constitution is the only thing protecting them from getting their teeth stomped in.
so I agree, like you were saying, to a certain extent, as far as like people that come here on visas, like for students, for them to a certain extent, they should be protected under the government as far as under the free speech. You know what I mean? Because, but I mean, it should be notated in their clause somewhere that while you are visiting, while there are some guarantees, you are free to speak about your speech is protected. This speech will not be protected. Anything that's derogatory, anything that just like certain clauses. I mean,
Yeah,
it gets a little bit dicey with the legalities, but I mean, like you're saying, to your point, it's like if I invited you over to my house, hey, come on down, I'm gonna have a cookout over here, and then all of a sudden you just start telling me like, man, your house looks like shit, dog. You
right,
know, uh, let me go ahead and just start moving your furniture over this way. Let me go ahead and move these pictures over here. Man, your shit looks crappy, dog. You know,
right.
what kind of a guest would a person be then? You know,
Absolutely.
go to Iraq, dude. You can't go to Saudi Arabia and have any porn. You know what I'm saying? Have a porn magazine if you want. Go to Saudi Arabia, see what happens to you.
Right,
But hey, over here, you're free to do that. I guess. I mean,
right.
like I said, I think
And I
there's.
believe like the original intent was that you're supposed to come here and assimilate, and you're supposed
Right.
to become part of the system while you're here. And if
Right.
you end up staying longer, because you can get these things extended like almost indefinitely, I believe. I don't know the
Hmm.
exact length of time, but you can get extended for a long time. You can end up staying here for a while. But the intent was for you to assimilate and join in to whatever our mixed culture is here. There is no
And
real American culture, but
if you're gonna add to the culture, don't take away. It's like the AR-670-1 they used to tell us. Remember, you could always add, but you can't
that
take away. Okay,
exactly.
add to it, but make sure it's something that's worth adding.
Yeah.
Make sure you're adding to the culture something that's beneficial from your culture.
Yeah.
Hey, I might be raza, but that doesn't. I'm an American first. I'm an American who happens to be raza. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna forget my culture. I'm not gonna forget my and it's been people in America and the States love our culture as well. They love eating pupusas from El Salvador. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
we introduced it, but don't mean bring over fucking your gang membership. You know what I'm saying? There's a fine line about the stuff that you bring. You're supposed to, like you said, assimilate, bro. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
and like I used to tell my soldiers, you adapt to me. I don't adapt to you. You know what I'm saying? You adapt to my
Yeah.
leadership. I don't. You don't. I don't adapt to yours. Now I'll
Right.
tweak around it, but anyways, it's just a trip how if you even speak against that, you're a xenophobe, or if you if you speak about something, you're either gonna have to either stick with every single thing the hard right says, or you're gonna start stick with everything the left says. You can't meet in the fucking middle, and that's what still to this day bothers me, bro.
Yeah.
And
For real.
like we had discussed earlier, a couple years back, this is my opinion. I love you, you my homie, but you were definitely on that far hard right, and I
I
respect
was.
it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
No,
saying? And I
I'm.
respected it. And just like our boy Hunt, he is super far left, and I still respect it, and it's dialed down from what I seen, compared to where it was a couple of years back. But I get it. We get passionate with our
Yeah.
beliefs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's nothing
For
wrong with
sure.
that. And it's where I was going with this was like, I'd like to be in the middle. I like to say there's things on the left that I can agree with, and there's things on the right that I can agree with, and just like on both sides, I disagree with them. Hunt sent me a message though. He wanted me to ask you something since he couldn't be
Oh
on
shit.
here. So if you don't mind, he stated the following, because you know how we have a gun problem here. Well, not a gun problem. I think
Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
it's a mental issue problem. But
yeah.
he said, because I asked him, "Hey man, I'm gonna be recording here. Is there anything that you want me to go ahead and ask Chooks? You know, since you can't be here." And he said, "Okay. I mean, you can talk about how there's 3 mass shootings today: Louisiana, Michigan, and in Texas. But once again, guns are not the problem. Guns are the only problem when it comes to Chicago. It's never a mental health problem. It's never a lack of resource problem in Chicago or any urban city. It's always thugs and all the type of shit. It's them getting access to illegal guns. But anyway, I'm feeling like dog shit." Oh, okay. So he feels like dog shit. But so I guess, his question is, what is what is the problem in America with gun violence? And why is it that when it's done in an urban area, it's not a mental problem there? It's, a thug problem, which I think he's leading into, like it's a racial thing there. Um, what are your thoughts?
Everything's raced with Hunt though. I'm just gonna put that out there. But that's a whole different topic right there.
Yeah.
As far as guns, yeah, no, I'm 100% a firm believer that we have a huge mental health crisis in this country. We don't have a gun problem. We I can be the first to admit that it is very easy to get a gun as long as you are a law-abiding citizen. You can go any given day. I'm here in Texas, you just like you, and we can go right now. I can go down to the gun store right down the street and fill out a form. They do the FBI background check, and within 3 hours, I can be walking out with a brand new gun, whether with a pistol, AR-15, whatever it is that I want. I can be walking out the
Hmm.
store with it within a matter of hours. But I have to be a law-abiding citizen. Now, the problem that we're having a lot of times is that, yes, there's a huge amount of mass shootings. The statistics on those, if you look at them, there's a lot of mass shootings, but you have to look at what they are qualifying as mass shootings. Right. So, like, he brought up Chicago. If you go to Chicago this Friday night, I'm not even talking about the past. I'm talking about
Hmm.
this coming Friday night. Go down to Chicago, and there will be several mass shootings because what they qualify as a mass shooting is if you're anywhere near a crowd and you shoot and hit one or more people. So these people who are, you want to call them gangbangers or thugs, whatever it is you want to
Hmm.
call them, they're shooting these gang fights are being
Right.
classified as mass shootings. So while they say mass shootings are on the rise, yeah, they absolutely are because of the way you're classifying them. If you talk
Hmm.
about a person who goes and randomly shoots up a courtyard somewhere, there are too many of those, obviously, but still, there's nowhere near the number that they're saying. Uh, those are a lot fewer and far between these actual mass shooting events versus the people in Chicago who are shooting themselves up over whatever street they live on. Um,
Exactly.
but again, going back to mental health, it absolutely is a mental health issue because if you look at let's go back to the Charlie Kirk, who shot him. If you look at a lot of the major uh, mass shooting events this year, the actual mass shootings, not like I said, not the
Right.
gangbanger fights. If you look at the actual mass shootings where a person took a rifle or gun or whatever, went into a public area and started shooting indiscriminately at people. If you look at all the shooters, they've all been, I don't, I, it's not 100%, but it's a huge majority of them have been transgender. I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to insult anybody. Well, I really don't care because nobody I fuck
You
with
can say
is
whatever you want, buddy.
nobody I fuck with is transgender. Like that's to me that in itself is a mental illness.
Hmm.
Um, but all these shootings are happening by people who are mentally ill. They identify as transgender or non-binary or whatever the fuck what the latest term is.
Right.
And these mentally ill people are mad because MAGA is insulting them or Trump is taking away transgender rights. And so that Charlie Kirk was shot right when he was talking about transgender by allegedly Tyler Robinson, but now there's rumor has it that it wasn't him
I was
shooting. It
gonna
was
ask you about
actually
that
the
later.
transgender boyfriend dude who
Oh,
was the
really,
actual shooter, and Tyler Robinson was taking the fall for him.
bro?
Um,
I wanted to talk about that here, and I thought we could get that deeper onto the conspiracies a little bit later on that. But I agree with you on the labeling of the mass shootings, because my understanding from what I thought was anything where there's like three victims or more
Right,
is considered a
right,
mass shooting. Now,
exactly.
where I agree with you on that is the street violence is not because of mental health. And like I was saying earlier, I grew up in an environment where that type of stuff was happening. LA,
Yeah,
80s, 90s, it was on the
yeah, it
daily.
was
The
crazy.
only thing is we didn't have social media like they do now. You know what I mean?
And
Because
none of those were labeled mass shooting
they
events.
were
That
not,
was just
no,
gang
they were
violence. That
gang
was gang
related. Yep.
violence.
It was
Yeah.
gang violence in LA.
I
That's
mean,
all it was.
up in NorCal, because I'm from Watsonville, we didn't have it nearly
Mm-hmm.
as bad as you guys, but Watsonville is a pretty, as far as
Mm-hmm.
Northern California goes, Watsonville is pretty bad. And there were shootings there, daily, weekly. Like it was this, like I said, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
as bad as SoCal, but it was still pretty bad.
Right.
And nobody, there were never once during that entire period growing up in California did anybody ever say a mass shooting. It was
Exactly.
just, yo, them fucking, the Cholos were at it again this weekend, fucking shooting each
Exactly.
other up. Like that's all it was. It was the hood dudes shooting each other up. And so
Exactly.
now you get a guy from fucking 13th Street who sees a car full of guys from 10th Street, and he shoots at the
Mm-hmm.
car and hits a couple of his rival gang members. They're calling that mass shooting now because, like
Yeah,
you
that's
said, they're classifying that as mass shooting because this person shot up a group full of people that he hated for
exactly.
whatever
It
reason.
was there was actually there was it wasn't random. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It wasn't random. So like with these other mass shootings, I mean not that they're random, but for example, like what happened at the church, I don't know what happened there. But let's go back to the one that happened in Michigan, right? Where they shot up that Catholic church. That
Yeah.
one dude,
Yeah.
that to me is a mass shooting
That's a mass shooting.
because
Right.
that was a person that had his own ill will towards people that had nothing to do with the purpose of him going out to shoot. That again, mental issues. Now, is it
Right.
easy to get a weapon? Yeah, it is. How are you? It depends on how you say you're getting it because I'll tell you right now, this guy right here can't own a weapon. All right. I can't go buy a weapon. How do I know? Because I tried. You know what I'm saying?
Did you?
So, for those saying that it's so easy to get a weapon, I'm in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, military veteran. I had just got out the army. I went to the local gun shop here and I went to try to get a weapon. And guess what? First, there was a hold. And then they were like, hey, you're going to get a letter in the mail indicating why you weren't getting able to get a weapon. And guess what? I wasn't able to because I was convicted of a felony many, 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 many moons ago in 1997. And guess
That's
what?
crazy.
But this happened. That's the crazy part. In 1997, I was convicted of that felony and I couldn't own a weapon, right? Meanwhile, in 2004, when the war kick, was at its peak, they were like, "We'll take you even with that felony." Hey,
Here
here,
you go. Here's
fire
a
this
rifle.
240 Bravo. Yeah, fire this 240 Bravo machine gun. Fire this M4 rifle, M16 Alpha 2. Hey, here's a M109 Alpha 6 howitzer with a 155 millimeter shell.
We're gonna
Fire
make
that
you the
shit.
chief of that bitch, and you're gonna fucking send
Exactly.
rounds downrange.
But when I got out, I figured, okay, I should be kosher. I go in there, and they were like, "Nope, sorry, my boy, you can't get it."
Still, huh? So it's like forever.
Well, I got that felony expunged. California did something for me, and they actually went back, looked at my case, and they reduced it to a misdemeanor, and
Hell yeah!
then it went to court, and it got expunged. They were like, it never existed. Cool
Now
shit,
you're good to
you know.
go.
Yeah, yes, sir. So
Hell yeah!
lo and behold, if somebody wants to come and fuck around and find out, I wouldn't
He's
recommend you
not
do
ready
it.
now.
Yeah, I mean, legally, I'm good now. I'm not saying if
Yes.
I was or wasn't illegally before, but again, um, is it easy to get weapons? It is. But
It
my
is
my
very.
my whole thing about it, bro, is to the intent. It's to the
Yeah.
intent. If somebody intends on causing harm and causing violence, wasn't there a person that drove a fucking vehicle through a parade?
Exactly. Killed like 13 people or something.
Are we gonna all of a sudden, start banning vehicles?
Yeah, if you look at countries that they don't have gun rights, what do you have? You have fucking mass stabbing events instead of mass shooting. You have mass stabbing
Hmm.
events. So it's like if
Exactly.
these mentally ill people, if they want to hurt somebody, they're gonna find a way. They're
They
gonna.
can hurt it.
It's while I this is probably crazy to say, but it's very easy to make an IED. It's very easy to go to your local hardware store and buy whatever. I won't go
Whatever
into
the necessities
details.
are.
Buy things that you can make an IED from and put that somewhere in public and hurt a lot of people.
Boston.
Taking away guns, exactly. Taking away guns is not going to do anything. That's what people don't understand. It's dumb.
No, what
You
it's gonna
need to,
do, what taking away guns is gonna do, is that law-abiding citizen that is would have been able to stop the altercation or stop the event from happening, or any worse than it would have been. That person is now going to be a victim because he no
yeah,
longer has the right to carry his weapon.
yeah.
So,
But to a point that you kind of brushed over a second ago. Now, this might ruffle feathers, I guess, but as far as the Chicago gang violence and what we're seeing, and we're like we were talking about how that's not a mass shooting event, there is a level of mental illness. While it might not be like the same level as somebody who just wants to go
right,
shoot random
right.
people, like you have a very specific, I want to shoot somebody who's from a different crew, different set, different clique,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you want to say, different gang. There is a certain level of mentality that it takes to live like that, which
Right.
is not normal, which is not standard behavior. It's almost animalistic to want to shoot and kill somebody who's from a different area.
Tribalism.
It's tribal. Yeah, exactly. So it's tribalism. So it's a lot more raw. Um, so it's not like I said, it's not like a mental illness, but it is. It's you're going back to like a very animalistic behavior.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's a mental illness exactly, but there is something as a society we've determined that living like that is bad, and most people follow it. But then you get these little inner cities where that is the dominant culture, that is the
Right.
dominant mental thinking. Like everybody thinks that way because of the culture, and you could blame it on a lot of things. But if you look at like the music, if you look at the hangouts, you look at the schools, since Hunt asked the question, and we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
education, like
Mm-hmm.
he was, I believe we should cut, like they want to cut the Department of Education entirely. I
Mm-hmm.
have no problems because I refuse to send my kids to public school anymore. We're homeschooling our kids,
Okay.
but I still have to pay. We still have to pay property taxes, which is crazy. Like you still have to pay. You can't opt out of the system. Like you still have to pay into it. Even though I'm never going to send my children to any of these garbage ass schools where
Right.
they learn the animalistic behavior that is prominent in cities. Because I'm not like downtown San Antonio, and this is not like the biggest city in the world, but
Right.
it's still a city. It's still a big city. We got 3, 4 million. I forget how many millions of people. We got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people here, and
And it's very
I'm
condensed.
it's
Like, I
very
mean, it's very
exactly.
tight. Yeah.
Yeah. So I I have no problems cutting funding for the Department of Education. But my main point to Hunt about education, the Department of Education, they have a $268 million. I think it's even more this year. 2024, they had a $268 billion budget. But for some
Right.
reason, like it's like Hunt's whole point was why there no kids in school should be hungry. Everybody should get free lunch
Mm-hmm.
in school, and there shouldn't. And I 100% agree. So why aren't we looking at where the money's going? Why $268 billion? You know how much that is if you break it down per student across the country? That's that's a lot of money. Obviously, there's a lot of fraud going on. Obviously, there's some of this money is getting funneled in all different areas. And
Exactly.
why is it that makes me a bad guy to say let's find out where the waste and fraud is? Why is that a bad? We should all want not a single child to go hungry to school. We should all want every child to have good teachers, to be able to pay teachers more so you get better teachers who are able to give a better education to all these kids.
Right.
Why can't we agree on these little simple facts that there's a lot of money being stolen from?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that the people at the top of the Department of Education are making millions of dollars? They're paying
Mm-hmm.
themselves these exorbitant salaries for what? They haven't earned it. like the huge majority of the kids in this country are failing at the basic stuff, basic English,
bro.
basic math, especially in the inner cities where they have the biggest budgets. But where's that money going? So we're talking about Chicago. Chicago, there's like entire districts where nobody can pass a basic math test, an entire a basic English thing, but they have a huge budget. Where is the money going, and
Yeah,
why is it that I'm a bad guy because I say let's see where the money is being wasted, and let's break it down per student so we know, hey, every child should get such and such amount of money that follows him for his education, so he will
right.
never go hungry and he'll always have a good teacher in his classroom. Where's all the extra money? Where's all that money being stolen? Where
You
is
know,
it? Why am I a bad guy?
it's funny you just said that, bro. I mean, the way you said that, like the way you broke it down, like how each student should get X amount of money, right? I think if we're gonna do it that way, yeah, let's actually have an account for each individual student and
Absolutely.
get that money to be put in there, and let that money be kind of like how we used to have on our LES an allotment that
There you
goes
go.
to this allotment goes to their food. If they use it, they use it. If they don't, they don't. And then it carries over to the next following school year. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
like a
saying? And then
BAH, like a basic allowance for
exactly,
education. You know.
and having accountability for it. You know what I'm saying? And then whatever is left over, hey, you could tack that on to the next school year, kind of like rollover minutes from back in the day. And that way we have track of where the money is going. And
Hmm.
that pays for his school. Dude, I remember when I was going to school, bro, the only thing I had to buy was my peachy folder and
And
paper
paper
and
and pencil.
pencils.
Yeah, exactly. That
Now,
was it.
now I'm buying Kleenexes, I'm buying crayons,
Everything.
I'm
You gotta
buying,
everything.
bro, every single thing. So where is the money going? And I got
And
three
not only,
kids, bro.
yeah, and they don't just want you to buy stuff for your children. They want you to buy like
Mhm.
things for like communal stuff, like things that everybody gets to use. Like, what? I have to pay for other people's stuff?
You know,
It's rowdy, and I feel really bad for the teachers because then we all collectively shit on the teachers because they're
mhm.
asking people to bring in other stuff and donate other stuff, and we're
Yep,
looking at them like, but a lot of these teachers have to pay out of pocket for a ton of
yep,
stuff.
yep.
But why, when these schools have such huge budgets? It's crazy.
100%. I don't understand it, bro. I don't get it because again, I think that being a teacher, it's something you do out of love. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
want to be there to teach the next generation. Our teachers do not get the support they used to. Like I'm telling you, when I was a badass in school, my mama did not question the teacher. My mama will whoop my ass. My dad
Yeah,
will whoop
exactly.
my ass.
Yeah,
Now the teachers are getting their asses whooped by the students. It's like, come on, bro. Now, I'm not saying that, corporal punishment was needed, but some students
no,
needed it. All right. Some
yeah.
students did need it. This guy is one of them. I did need to get my ass paddled
I'm
because I
surprised I
was a
didn't.
bad motherfucker. Huh?
Yeah, I was ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the greatest student, but you know what I did do though, and I have noticed, like my oldest, we pulled her out of fucking school. We pulled her out of the public school system, and we have her going to a virtual school, Texas virtual schools,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she's succeeding there a lot more now because
It's
she gets to
crazy.
work at her own pace. She does her own work without the
The
talking all
noise,
around
the
her. Yes,
distraction of
bro.
everything.
And that
Yeah,
and that goes to the autism thing that she's at, right? So but here's the thing. Can we pull the electives out? I mean, can we make those optional? Because my daughter is passing her core classes. That's all she needs is her fucking core classes to
right,
move on into society, right?
right.
And if she wants to do an elective, all right, cool. She could choose it. But don't start hounding me like, oh, she's failing on it. She don't give a fuck about music appreciation, bro. She don't. You know what I'm saying? No,
it's
there's
it's crazy
no
that they
fuck
have to
given
take
for
these
that.
kind of classes. Yeah,
Right. I mean, like, who gives a fuck? Is she doing good in math? Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? She doing good in English? Good. Biology, science? All right. The necessity, history. All right. Now, if you want to do elective classes, let's do something that's going to be beneficial for the child. All right.
exactly. Wood
Bring
shop,
in,
home ec, that kind of stuff.
thank you. Thank you.
Small
You know,
engine building. We had small engine building when I was a kid,
and
dude.
I get it
It
that
was rowdy.
nowadays I get it that nowadays everybody wants to send their kids to college to get an education. Cool. Look, not everybody's college material
Nope.
right here. How about, I'm pretty sure that the school system could do something with like an American company of like Ford, Chevy, and do a deal with them like, hey, you know what? Auto shop isn't as easy as it used to be, where you could just take away a carburetor and take it apart. How about we do something like with they're in high school while they're getting their final education. How about we
Yeah,
introduce them into like automotive technology and and then they can have like a pathway to
right. And then they
going
get
to
out of high
work into
school
a
and get an
dealership,
internship and
become
then get a full-time job. You know what I mean?
100%, bro. And if the government wants to get involved into something like that, I can back that up. To me, that's not
Exactly.
socialism. That's not communism. That's something that's developing our people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But then again,
absolutely.
it's a slippery slope because then it's gonna be like, oh well, how do you select this? Dude, people we become. I think you know what? That's what's become a society of cynicism. And
Everybody's black pilled.
yeah, yeah, bro.
Yeah, but
It,
but going back to like what I was saying about the budget, like if you if you scream, let's find the waste, find the frauds, so we can
Mhm.
get more money to the kids and more money to the teachers, so they can teach better. You know who the first people to come out and scream no, like that's so horrible? It's not the teachers. It's the people
Mm.
who are above them, the superintendents and the school boards. The
Right,
people who are making the real money are like, oh no, we don't want to look into that. Everything is good the way it is. The system is good. You know why? Because
right.
they're getting all the money.
The money, the
I'm not
funding.
saying they're all. I'm not saying they're all frauds, but I'm saying a huge majority of these people are getting a lot more money than they need to be, and the teachers and the students are not getting. Are they're getting ripped off?
I kind of
Uh,
enjoyed when Doge was doing their thing.
yeah,
The Department of Government Efficiency. Now, were they going a little too wacky with it? Well, I mean, you have a fucking semi-autistic motherfucker out there that was in charge of that shit. So, yeah, it was getting a little wacky. But I mean, I
yeah.
did enjoy them that they were finding I mean, USAID. Who doesn't like? I didn't know what USAID was until they brought it up. I'm like, oh, USAID. It sounds like we're doing aid around the world. You know what I'm
Right?
saying? I had absolutely no idea. They knew what they were doing when they funded that shit. When they started
Oh yeah,
when they made the acronym. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I mean, really, do we really need to send condoms out to a third world country? Is that where our money is best suited to be sent?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I think that America, when it comes down to a political sense, we need to stop worrying about the 4 years that a person's been elected for, and worry about the 2 years that are in between when the ones that make the laws are being put
right.
in.
Yeah,
That's where we need to worry, and that's they need to have term limits because if your career of 30 years in public service as a congressperson or representative and your environment or your district hasn't prospered, you're not doing your job right. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Maxine was the representative of where I grew up. She was the rep there, bro. And I'm telling you, again, I grew up
She's
there in the
crazy,
80s
bro.
and 90s. Beyond crazy. And let's not talk about how she didn't call to action people to go and
Get in their faces.
disturb other people while they're eating dinner and whatnot. But yet,
Uh,
let, let, they didn't call to. Anyways, I'm gonna
yeah, it's a whole
I'll say that
different,
for
whole
another.
different.
It's a different topic for another day. It's just a trip, bro.
It is, dude.
I really wish that we could do a reset button, like I told on Facebook, where I put we need to do an Alt Control Delete and
Yeah,
reset everything, bro. And reset
absolutely.
everything. It.
It needs it, dude.
I
System
mean,
is it's getting out of control, dude. There's
what
just
if there was a solution that, or not even a solution, but if there was something that you could at least ask government, not just Trump, but ask government to start working on to try to get us into a better path, what would it be?
bring back mental asylums.
Maybe give it a better name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like a behavioral health facility treatment.
right.
Treatment facility. That's what
Well,
the army did. We used to call it mental health, and now,
right,
oh no, it sounds too stigmatized. Let's go with behavioral health. All right, we'll
right.
change it to a behavioral health treatment facility.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. It's like I said, when I got out of the army, for the first couple of years after I got out of the army, that's where I went and worked at a behavioral hospital. So
Hmm.
we got to see firsthand, like for a couple of years. That's where I met my wife, and we worked with crazy people, and 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 what we saw out of we were there, I don't know, three years, give or take. And what we saw is that a huge majority of people who are allegedly crazy, or they've checked themselves out or whatever, are faking. There's a huge amount of fake mental illness,
Yes.
so which in and itself is kind of a mental illness, that you want to fake a mental illness to get yourself into a hospital because you want a vacation from your life. A lot of people would check themselves in because life got too stressful. So they would just
Wow.
flip out, whether it was on their parents or when they, because we had a lot of kids there too. So they would flip out on their parents, or if it was an adult, they would flip out on their people, so they could, because they knew that they were going to get a 2 week vacation in the hospital where they could just kind of get
Wow.
away from everything. Yeah. So you had a lot of people who weren't mentally ill. They were just stressed out and decided to check themselves out for a while. We had recurring patients who would come in 5, 6, 7 times a year. Like for real. We had homeless people who would milk the system, who would come in.
We lost your audio, brother. Yeah, we lost your audio. All right, we lost his audio for a bit. Well, I'll just keep talking so that there's no dead air. I Go ahead and talk, bro. You're mute. Oh man, we were just you're on mute right now. Unmute yourself.
Can you
Okay,
hear me?
talk. Now we
Can you
got
hear
you.
me? Okay.
Yeah. I guess
Uh,
your earbuds probably died out.
yeah, they died.
It's all gravy.
Yeah, but anyway, so we had like homeless people who would come in on the first of every month because their Medicaid would renew, so they can come and they could get 2 weeks and they could stay in the mental hospital. And but then you also had like kids, like I said, who would freak out in class or freak out on their parents because if they had a test coming up. Like, it was the craziest thing. We would get kids who
Wow.
like they knew that midterms were coming up and they didn't want to do them, so they would freak out and cause a huge scene in school or at the home or whatever, have the police called, and they would come and stay just so they can get out of that particular part of their life for a while. Again,
Th-
so they're not really mentally ill, but also it does kind of take a certain level of mental illness, or something's wrong with you that you think that you need to do that you're willing to check
You
yourself
know
into a
what?
mental hospital
You know what
to
it
get
is,
away
bro?
from life.
It's been normalized. You know how
It
people always
has.
say normalize this, normalize that? It's been
Yes.
normalized because
Yeah.
it's not looked or frowned upon as it should have been. You know,
Yeah,
for
we're not allowed to
example,
make fun of him anymore.
no, some deserved it. I mean, some went too far. I mean,
Yeah.
but I'll say this. Look, like I'll give you an example. And I'll throw my personal life out there. So my middle daughter, when she was in fifth or fourth grade, was talking with another student, and apparently she said something along the lines of, I want to take my life. I want to end myself." You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The school did right. They took her aside. They contacted me, and I talked to my daughter, like what's going on and whatnot, and we had a conversation. And so it was basically she was just saying, like, I guess people talk when and say stupid shit when they talk, and I know how schools are nowadays, that they can't take anything like that lightly.
Yeah.
100%. I appreciate what they did.
Yeah.
So what I didn't appreciate was that because of that, they gotta check the block. They referred her to a place called Laurel Ridge out here.
Yeah.
And
Been there a
so
few times. Not
at
as a
Laurel Ridge.
patient. Let me
Oh, okay, okay. So
work for work.
gotcha, gotcha. So they got two locations. They got the one for the military, which is nice and
Yeah.
pretty looking, and
Yeah.
then they got the real one, and
Yeah.
that's where they sent my daughter, to the real one. So I went there, and they wanted her to get checked out or whatnot. So I sat there, and my daughter was 10 years old. I remember this. She was 10 years old at the time, and so this was 3 years ago. And while we were there, the nurse came in there and started going through the check the blocks, right?
Yeah.
And I knew every question. As soon as I heard the first question, I was like, "Oh, this is one of those. This is one of those tests that they do us in the military, right?" So they ask her, "So, do you see things?" And so my daughter has an imagination, bro. So she started saying, like, "Yeah, I see ghosts, and I see a little old lady, and you know what?" And it's she's 10. Okay, she's 10.
Yeah.
And plus, who's to say she didn't see ghosts? I mean, they probably exist. But anyways, and they asked her like, "Have you ever thought about how you would do it if you were gonna kill yourself?" And my daughter was like, and I'm thinking to myself, man, my daughter, she gets a splinter in her pinky finger and she's crying. She sees a drop of blood and she's going nuts. She's not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
anyways, but I'm thinking that the nurse is gonna just understand. Anyways, so I could see that this nurse was like really serious about all the answers she was writing down.
yeah,
And I'm thinking, so like, okay, wait a minute. You're gonna diagnose my daughter here within a what 5-10 minute conversation you just had with her? Because I told her, like, just so you know, before we go any further, I told her I'm not leaving my daughter here. That's not gonna happen. And
yeah,
she's like, she looked at me like all crazy, and she was like, starts writing these notes down, right?
yeah.
And and so long story short, when I told her I'm not leaving my daughter there, hold on, this shit wants to restart. Cancel. You're not restarting, goddammit. Fucking stupid ass computer. So, anyways, long story short, I told that nurse, like, I'm not leaving my daughter here. Are you crazy? I'm not doing that. So she writes down this thing that a parent is being non-supportive or non-cooperative, and was explained that daughter had to stay and dot dot dot. And I told her, I'm not signing that. I'm not signing this paper right here.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? As a matter of fact, we're leaving. We're leaving right. This
They
bitch
call the
tried to
police
keep
on you.
us in there,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. They'll
So
call the
guess what?
police and they'll.
Yeah, I said, no, we're not leaving. I'm not leaving my daughter here. You're not going to make a decision for my daughter in 10 minutes that you've met her. I've known my daughter for 10 years. That's how I remember she was 10 years old. I know my daughter for 10 years, and you're not going to make a decision in 10 minutes. I know my daughter a little bit more than you do. Anyway, so we left and we came to the house. Sure enough, guess who goes to visit her? Motherfucking CPS. And
Yeah,
I'm not talking
it's
about
a
I'm
check the
not talking
box
about the
thing.
yeah, and I'm not talking about the fucking the air conditioning people here, the electricity people here. All right. Not the climate control people. I'm talking about the child protective services came and
Yeah,
they had a conversation with her and my older daughter and with my youngest son. So guess what? Now I'm on paper that my daughter had to go to CPS. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And that
yeah.
bothers me because I get it, check the block. But
Hmm.
for her to try to vilify me because I wouldn't put my daughter into a fucking institution. Now, if my daughter had attempted it, then I would be like, okay, yeah, let's put her under some observation for, but not Laurel Ridge. Fuck
Yeah,
no, I'm not doing Laurel Ridge. That place
yeah.
looks
It's
like a
garbage.
fucking prison, bro.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
horrible.
it is.
Yeah,
And anywho, so long story short, what I would say to government is let parents be parents. Let us raise our children. I think we know what's
yeah.
best for them. You know, stay out of our households.
Well, a lot of them don't though. I kind of disagree a little bit. Like we have a very broke.
Damn, he froze. He froze. No. And damn it. Can you still hear me, fool?
Oh,
I hear
did
you.
your screen go black?
No, your screen went black. But I think that's probably the podcast gods telling us that we've gone on for too long. But I think that's a good place to stop at. I would like to hear before, even if it is black. Let me know what you were saying as far as like some parents.
You're all chipmunk voice again.
Ah, damn. I guess we're gonna. All right, we'll call it a day on this one right here, brother. You hear me?
No.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it and end it right here. For those of y'all that were chilling with us and hung out, I appreciate y'all. We'll be back hopefully next week with him and with Hunt, so we can go ahead and converse a little bit more. I hope y'all enjoyed this uh recording of my therapy without the therapist with my homeboy Chooks. Let us know in the comment section what you agree with, disagree with, and we can carry the conversation on there. With that said, I appreciate y'all being here on the gun line. If you want to reach out on the gunline at gmail.com with any questions, comments, threats, hate mail, I'm all for it. Rounds complete, intermission, gun line out. Catch y'all next time on the gun line, y'all. Deuces.